Smith, the founder of National Musician, and welcome to Reach for the Stars, helping you achieve your musical dreams and learn all about the music business. I'm so happy to have with us our guest today, Arthur Samuel Joseph. He's a very well-known celebrity vocal coach.
Hi, Arthur. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Maureen, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for asking me to be part of your vision.
Well, great. Well, thank you, and thanks for being on the show. It's, I haven't seen you in quite some time, and do you remember meeting? I met you, it was in Toronto, and I was taking your singing class, I think it was about 30 years ago.
Probably, yes. I used to do a lot of those public events, which I don't really do anymore. Yes.
Yeah.
And then we got to reconnect maybe a year or so ago, and when you reached out, and you're just doing so many important things in the arts, and so I love this concept, and I wanted to contribute to it. So thank you for asking.
Well, thank you. Well, everybody, I'd like to just read you a little bit about who we have here. He's a very impressive and well-recognized man, Arthur Joseph Samuel. And
no, Arthur Samuel Joseph.
Arthur Samuel Joseph. Okay. Well, he's the founder and creator of the Vocal Awareness Institute, Inc. He is recognized as one of America's leading authorities on the human voice and its trainings. He's a former professor of voice at the University of Southern California. Arthur Joseph has worked with many of Hollywood's greatest stars, such as Anne Bancroft and Arnold Schwarzenegger, as well as executives from major international corporations such as Toyota and Disney. He is the author of various books, including Sound of the Soul and Vocal Power, Harnessing the Power Within, as well as Other Sounds True programs. Mr. Joseph also offers vocal workshops online at vocalawareness.com. His education is a combined major of music, philosophy, and psychology, which has served as the foundation for his now 50 years of teaching and coaching. With the creation of the Vocal Awareness proprietary teaching method, Arthur has worked with actors, singers, politicians, broadcasters, business leaders, multinational corporations, and many others who have all recognized the significance of empowerment through voice. Vocal awareness is a complete system for mastering your voice and integrating it into your life. A renowned teacher mentor, Mr. Joseph's mission is to change the world through voice. So, we have somebody.
My goodness. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. You've done a lot. 50 years is a lot of work.
My birthday next January begins my 60th year of teaching.
Yeah. Well, listen, I got this DVD here, and I got this from you years ago. The Vocal Awareness Method I just love this. I love this DVD myself. It's actually one of my favorite vocal warm-ups on DVD, and I have many, but this is a favorite of mine. Is this still available on Amazon?
Yes, is this the one that you wanted another copy of?
Yeah.
Okay, I do have that. I will make sure that you get it.
Okay, great. Well, everybody, this is a really great DVD, and I know it also comes in CDs too. I originally had the CDs, but now it's on DVD as well. So that's available. And I just want to ask you, so like, how many people have you actually coached?
Thousands. And
wow.
I was one of the more important projects I've worked on over the years. I was the vocal director in the original movie Annie. and Aileen Quinn, who played Annie, was 9 years old, 4 feet tall, and weighed 90 pounds. Weighed 45 pounds, excuse me. She was a really tiny human being. And they auditioned 6,200 children, as I recall, from around the United States and Canada over about a year and a half. And they found one, by my standards, who couldn't sing. She was a fine actress, a fine tap dancer. She was amazing, this child. But she sang the highest note in Tomorrow with her jaw shaking from tension. She had an octave and a half range. When we first met on the Monday, we worked in for the next 4 days for no more than like a half an hour, 45 minutes at lunch. And we'd go in on Thursday for our first pre-record, which turned out to be the song Tomorrow, the principal song in the movie, as you know, in the musical.
The sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar. Tomorrow there'll be sun. I remember that song. Yeah.
And I do something really interesting in my teaching, that I call myself a third base coach for anybody who knows anything about baseball, because I'm doing all these arcane symbols, and because I'm talking with the performer's unconscious. And so the executive producer of the film, one of the giants of Broadway legend, Joe Layton, is in the recording studio, of course, overseeing all this, and asked him, can I go into the booth with Aileen? And he didn't really know me very well yet, and nobody goes into a booth with a singer. But he said, sure. And so I'm doing my third base coaching. She now has a 3.5 octave range. And she sang Tomorrow in one take. And that was the recorded version. And so I share that because as singers, we tend to do exercises like we're doing calisthenics. Yeah, and things like that. But my work is more like a ballet dancer. It's more like bar work. Because it's about line and sensuality. Yeah. For example, rather than yeah, and tongue and jaw tight, and ... And people talk about head voice and chest voice. There is no such thing. And we can debate that till next Thursday if you feel like. But what it does is create a dichotomy in a singer's thought process. And so I get to what I call the money notes, maybe a B flat or a D or an E flat or something where they really want to belt it out. And I've shifted gears. So I'm into that sort of quote unquote head quality where the voice is lighter. And I lose the resonance. I lose the drive. I lose the excitement. So if anybody watches Tomorrow, watches Annie, Aileen doesn't lose that at all. And then when she sings intimately, when she sings Maybe, sitting on the windowsill in a very intimate way, with no tongue or jaw tension, and allowing her voice to be sensual and loving and easy, she's just telling story, and the camera even pushes in because she becomes so intimate and compelling and real. So I'm done talking. You're just being patient with me as I go on.
Yes. So listen, well, do you still teach privately online? Like, can people actually contact you?
I do on Zoom.
Vocal lessons?
On Zoom, I do all the time. And I'll be in London actually doing a public seminar if anybody's in London on the 7th and 8th of October. Then I will be teaching in Lisbon on the 21st of October. But I do people can always find out about what's going on by going to vocalawareness.com or reaching out to me at support@vocalawareness.com if they want.
Okay.
This is Dodger. You came to say hi.
Oh, and who's that you have there?
That's Dodger. That's my singing Doberman, right, Dodger?
Oh, that's beautiful. I had a singing dog named Mozart once too, and he's not with us today, but he'll be on other shows. But he's beautiful. Do you have? So how many books and workshops do you have out now?
I've written 5 books. I have a number of online courses. Next year, I will be creating my first online teacher training program, because vocal awareness is trademarked and copyrighted. It is a paradigm shift in communication, not just in singing, but in speaking and acting, etc. And I want to train teachers to carry this on. And so I will be offering this training beginning probably in the second quarter of next year. And I just have, I'm doing a lot. I'll be 78 in January. And
no, I didn't know that. Yeah.
And my bride knows I'm never going to stop teaching because God's given me some real gifts. But I do balance my time. I'm not as manic as I used to be about things. And I'm very blessed with the life that I've been given.
That's wonderful. I know I've been teaching music on and off for 40 years, and I'll never stop with music either because it's as Rachmaninoff says, music is enough for a lifetime, but a lifetime is not enough for music.
Well, how lovely. I didn't know that quote. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And, I also, when you're reading off my credits, I have a master's in voice. I'm a classical singer by training originally. And I only share that because my art informs even my speaking, the way I work with corporate executives and athletes, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I love what I get to do.
Yeah,
I get to sit
we're
with
fortunate.
you, pet my dog, and be on this nice call with you today, for example. How fun is that?
Yeah, we're very fortunate to have music. So listen, can you tell us briefly what exactly is the vocal awareness method and what is really unique about the journey of this method for vocal music students?
May I play with you?
Sure.
Okay. Sit up straight. Sit at attention, please, for a moment, Maureen.
Okay.
And notice how you are holding your breath.
Mm-hmm.
And now watch when I ask you, Maureen. And please, everybody who's tuned in, do this with us. I don't want you to ever sit like that. Rather, I want you to claim yourself as an extraordinary woman of stature, feeling amazing about yourself.
Yes.
And the first thing you do is inhale. Then if I say, take a nice deep breath, and what we do is we do that and our chests rise.
Yes.
But in vocal awareness, I don't want taking nice deep breaths. I want us to allow a slow, silent, loving breath.
Yes, and there's a very big difference.
5 seconds, like that. And everything changes.
Right.
Everything. So that impacts the sound of my voice. And then people say, drop your jaw. I don't want to drop my jaw. I want to release my jaw. Like that. Because the most complex joint in our bodies, as you know, is our temporomandibular joint, 56 moving parts.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
The tongue is the strongest muscle in our bodies per diameter. So if I'm holding a note in our jaw capable of multiple thousands of pounds of force per square inch, and I hold a note like la with my tongue and jaw tight, compared to la with my jaw releasing, my tongue soft, I now get overtones and other qualities. And so every single thing that you know or can think about in terms of singing or public speaking is different. As I walk over here for one moment to let my dog out because he's standing at the door.
Okay.
There. Every single thing is fundamentally different because I'm teaching mastery. I'm not teaching voice 101. And in all mastery, it is only achieved when one integrates mind, body, spirit. And all mastery is only achieved when we master the subtleties of what we're learning and doing. So we don't just sit up straight, we embody ourselves as men and women of stature. Before you go out and perform, Maureen, you're not just speaking with the stage manager off stage, you're centering, you're focusing. You're into your ritual. But we don't have rituals in life, but we do in art. And so every practice session begins with thanking Source, begins with my conscious loving breath. It begins with my 7 rituals of vocal awareness.
So what
So
can you tell us? Can you tell us very briefly what those 7 rituals of vocal awareness are? Just
absolutely.
briefly.
Our first ritual, as I've just said, everything begins with stature. And here I am in stature, but I'll take stature out for just a moment and let you get a glimpse of the dowdy old man I really am, and notice how my voice just changed compared to when I'm in stature, and now my voice has more presence, etc. Because every single thing with these 7 rituals, with everything that we learned in vocal awareness, is connected physiologically, or I'm blowing smoke. Stature, our core engages, chest opens. We have more presence. We thank Source. It separates us from one moment and focuses in another, and the body inhales. I recognize that man's 2 greatest fears are fear of abandonment and ownership of our power. How scary it is for most of us to claim who we are. We don't realize how much work it takes to be us while others watch. And on the concert stage, you, of course, our ego mind wants to cross the footlights because we want to be loved and appreciated. But as an artist, when you're in the bow of that piano, if you do that for one moment, you're cheating the art. So the art is totally hubristic. It's about doing everything that you can do in that moment to be the artist. And as you and I know, 99% of what we're doing on that stage is all technique. We don't get what the audience gets. We're not hearing that sound. We're feeling those sounds. We're aware of our position. We're aware while we're in the 4th measure, preparing for the 6th or 7th measure. And all of this, it's all technique.
Yeah.
And so I call that in vocal awareness conscious awareness. So to begin to extrapolate on the rituals very briefly, to confront the 2 greatest fears, we love and let go. Just even hearing that word, just love and let go.
Is that the 2nd ritual?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And when we love and let go, the body inhales. And why
naturally.
this breathing is, yes, why this is so critically important. The root of the word spiritual, spirit in voice, means to breathe. So when we thank Source, we put ourselves in stature, we love and let go. The body's first impulse is to inhale. It's the body's way of saying, thank you for giving me permission to be myself. I claim who I am.
Wonderful. What's the 3rd
well,
ritual?
First, before I get there in one sec, and so why spirit is so important, my breath is so important. The Hebrew word neshama means both soul and breath. So we weave all of this breathing consciousness into everything we do, which leads to the 3rd ritual, which is to allow, not take, allow a slow, silent, conscious, loving breath and enjoy it while we do so. In vocal awareness, you're never going to meet a more linear teacher. But there's absolutely nothing linear in the work. It's all connected. So a breath isn't just a breath. This conscious, loving breath empowers me. It releases my fears, my trauma, gives me more confidence, and releases tongue and jaw and all this. So my recording studio here, my ceilings are higher. My tongue and jaw are more relaxed, so I can have more overtones and different qualities because I've allowed this breath with it, which then leads to the 4th ritual. I make voice visual. Sound, we do not want to project to the last row of the house. We want to see sound travel in what you know as the Bernoulli effect. All aerodynamic processes are the same. Sound travels in an arc, not an arch. And so you're on that stage and you're soaring like this. And so we see what I call the edge and arc of sound. So if I'm holding a tone, exactly, it's not it's it's soaring that way. And releasing this way, exactly.
Yeah.
Which then leads to the 5th ritual, which is take my time. It is never how fast we do something, it's how effective. And with our breathing, especially with public speakers, in music, a song without a rest is not the same piece of music. So I teach that space has value. It creates thinking time, deeper listening time. So 5 is take my time. 6 is pay attention, deeper listening. In my work, if anybody reads any of my books, I spell voice sometimes with a capital V, sometimes with a lowercase v. The lowercase is my speaking voice. It's me interacting out here in the world. My capital V voice is what I call my inner voice, which connects my deeper self with Source. Connecting this conversation that only Spirit and I are attuned to. So I'm always listening intra and interpersonally at all times. Which leads to the 7th ritual, which is simply be myself. But watch. It's not 2 words, be myself. And it's not present myself for whose approval. It's 3 words. The 3rd one begins with a capital S. Be myself. And so it brings us back to the sovereignty that I spoke about at the beginning with my claiming who I'm capable of being. When we look at the word hubris, which is fundamental to all art and athletics, it means blaspheming the gods or extreme arrogance. And us mere mortals out here, we are told, oh, don't act like that. What will people think? Oh, you shouldn't say that. You sound arrogant. But that artist on that stage is totally hubristic. We own that space, but that's not arrogance. That's command. That's authenticity. That's sovereignty. Yeah. But as we're learning, as we're becoming, as we're reaching for the stars, we get scared. We don't know how, and we've got all these mixed messages.
Well, so many people have so much anxiety with fear.
So our 7 rituals are designed to create what I call structure. And I teach that structure does not impinge, it liberates. Freedom without direction is chaos. And so we create these impeccable structures, not to imprison you, but to liberate you. However, my responsibility is not to you. It's to God on the work, the capital W work, the big work. And so it's about surrendering to that vision, to claiming who we are and not allowing ourselves to any longer be the cork in our own bottle because we get scared and we, oh my God, it feels so good. And now we want to go back under the covers. No, I want us to. One of the joys of singing, as you know, is simply how good it feels when we do it.
Yeah.
It's the most hedonistic thing there is I know of. And it just feels good. We want everybody to have that experience, to enjoy the empowerment of that experience.
That's what I like about your program a lot too, is that it teaches people about the spiritual component of singing and breathing. And it's not just technique. Like, technique is very important, but you also need all elements.
Absolutely. And as I said, you're not going to find a more linear teacher than me. But a breath is only a breath because it's also where we get trapped emotionally and spiritually. It's where we hold fear. So as we learn to love and let go, as we learn to allow our breath rather than take our breath, as we learn to let go of tongue and jaw tension and allow that to manifest, and learn that as I sing a song or tell a story, if I'm not engaging with my eyes like that, the story is flatter. So we learn that the mouth is where it all comes from, but the eyes tell the story. Every detail matters.
What do you think some of the biggest obstacles are for singers, trying to get over their technique and their issues to really become the best singer that they are? Is it problems with the jaw or the breathing or confidence?
Yes, to all of that and more.
Yeah.
I just had a young man in my studio last week who flew out from New York. I live in California for 2 days. He's been a famous sports broadcaster, the voice of a couple of sports on the radio. But he had such vocal issues he could no longer broadcast. He's only 40 years old. So he was in career jeopardy. And he'd been to a famous doctor in Boston and everything. Nobody could solve the issue. And so we really, really, really slowed all the elements down and looked at minuscule details and helped him understand what it was to release his tongue, to not rush a breath, to get rid of that tension, to intensify pressure flow. Because the problem was there was no pressure flow. And then to compensate, you constrict. And then because he got nervous, he would rush. And then his breath would become shorter. Dot, dot, dot. It would just a house of cards come tumbling down. So we had a Zoom session yesterday, and he did three hockey games three soccer games in Canada over the weekend. For the first time, and he was about 90% there. By everybody else's standards, not mine, but he could do it professionally because he began to have craft. So to answer your question, we video and audio tape everything. So we go back and watch and listen. I call it game film, like studying a performance or an at-bat as a ball player. And we look at really tiny details and begin to really build craft, not simply technique. And through that begin to build consistency. And through that begin to build confidence. And repeating these details over and over and over again. I'm like Chinese water torture. I'm just going to keep dripping away. But I'm not budging because my responsibility is to the capital W work. And so if I start to breathe like this, I'll stop you because I want you to breathe like that. And you hear the resonance that immediately comes in my voice simply because I release my tongue and jaw. Right. And then I tell everybody that I want us to do this technically and consciously in a conversation, in a performance.
Yeah.
Years ago, I had her name is Lucy Arnez, and she is the daughter of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, studied with me for over 30 years. And about 12 or 15 years into our work, she was at a wonderful, a supper club that no longer exists, Rainbow and Stars in New York, at the top of Rockefeller Center. Beautiful space. And I went over to warm her up that afternoon, and she was having an allergic reaction to bee pollen. And I couldn't vocalize her, I would undermine her confidence. I told her, you're going to be fine. She really knew our work. I get there to warm her up a little bit before performance, and we could barely do anything, but enough to give her confidence. In her set, she had, among others, a song by Julie Stein, who wrote Funny Girl, Cy Coleman, and Marvin Hamlish, who wrote, among other things, Chorus Line. And she walks out, and they're all in the front row. And she could barely talk, but she could sing impeccably. Wow. And it was such an amazing performance. She had not a good experience because she had to work so hard mentally. But she didn't cheat a note. She didn't cut a song. She performed because she owned this work in full conscious awareness, which let her trust the work and gave her the confidence to be herself. It was a stunning experience. So
that's wonderful. Well, listen, I think that just about concludes our talk for today. We're going to wrap it up. So I'd like to thank you so much for being here. And keep in mind, everybody, if you want to learn from Arthur, you can contact him on his website at vocalawareness.com. So thanks for listening, everybody, and bye for now.
And thank you, Maureen, for being such a wonderful host and creating this opportunity. God bless everyone.
My pleasure. God bless.